Hey friends, hello, hello. Welcome in. Okay, here we go. So welcome to the Disco Inferno event. This event is being hosted by Crafts by Amy, and her event group is Crafty Friends Unite. Alright, make sure that I'm everywhere I need to be. I'm a last minute addition. I'm helping to fill in a spot, so hopefully I don't disappoint too much. I did end up doing a quick run to the hi, thank you, Miss Amy. I did end up doing a quick run to the Dollar Tree because I remembered that a while back they had a lot of like disco themed stuff. I think just like Amy was saying earlier, I think it was like a spring. I don't know what the heck was up with spring and like disco themed stuff. I'm gonna have to pick that mess up later. So hi there, Miss Terry. Hello, welcome in. Thank you for coming, and thank you for the sprinkles. I appreciate it. So let me show you guys what I've got and what we're going to be working with, okay? So it's going to be a little bit different, and like I said, hopefully it turns out. In my head, when I saw this, I thought, oh, it's going to work great. Let me show you. Alright. So when I went to the Dollar Tree, this was the only like disco themed stuff, the thing that they still had. It is a like disco type ball with cherries, and I knew that that was kind of like what they had. So what I ended up doing was I took the mechanism off, which that was not easy, let me tell you. But this is what we got. So we're gonna work with this. Hey there, Miss Marylou. So Miss Marylou is actually up after me. So make sure that you stay in the group, and that way you can see everybody. And there's been several presenters, like before me was our hostess, and she was doing a nice big wood round. So yeah, so I am going to be altering this to turn it into a door hanger. So obviously these two holes is where I'm going to end up putting my, it's a wild cherry, yeah. So I'm going to end up putting, you know, my string through here to turn this into a door hanger. And we're going to, I had to pivot because I can't find my, my bag with all my different colored, stickles and stuff. I don't know where it's at. Because I thought I was going to do some stickles on here. But I couldn't find colored stickles. So we're going to use embossing powder. So I'm going to use some embossing powder because I do not do glitter. I'm just saying. I do not do glitter. Okay. And then I do have some red metallic paint that I thought would be good to paint maybe the edges. So let's get started and let's see how it goes. Fingers crossed that it works out. Alright, so to do embossing, which is normally used when you're stamping, okay, you can get an ink pad. Alright, this just happens to be the Tim Holtz one, but I have some other brands as well. Okay, and you would put your stamp on this, and then you would put it down on your paper, your cardboard, whatever, and then you sprinkle the powder on, dust off the excess, and then you use a heat tool to you know, to melt the little particles of the embossing powder. Okay, but because obviously this is not a stamp, and I've done this technique before, you can get these little dabbers and I open mine up and use a paintbrush, and I paint the stuff on here, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, so just stick around. We're gonna work with that. I have some red, and I do have some green for that, and then we'll do the pink for there. Okay. You can also find embossing paste, which is really cool because that you get to use with stencils, and then it's just very cool. Alright, so you are going to need a paintbrush that is going to be somewhat fine enough, especially like for the, you know, and so I'm actually going to do the green first. So let's work on the green part first. So welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody has had a wonderful start to their week. I was actually picking up my Starbucks birthday reward when Miss Amy messaged me. And I was like, yeah, I can hop on. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something. Hi there, Miss Val. How are you? I saw a little bit of your live earlier. I hope you're doing well. I did get a chance to share you out, but I didn't get a chance to see you finish. Alright, so let me get a piece of paper first. You want to have something to gather your stuff back up. That's good. Yes, I know you like to keep us on our toes, and that is totally fine. Hi there, Miss Kim. Hello, hello. In Swam Crafts. Darn it, I know I've seen you, and I know you're on the list today, and I totally forgot your name, dear, but hello, welcome. Thank you so much for popping in. I really do appreciate it. Girl, like I said, keep me on my toes. It's fine. But yeah, I was like, I did see the chat, and I was like, oh my god, that is just too funny. Now, I am going to tell you to have an extra brush around, because if you get some pieces that statically attach, which it will, because I mean it is a powder at the end of the day, you can put anti-static down. There's like a little pouch that they sell. But you're going to want to make sure you get that off, because it will melt wherever it's at, and if it's not where you want it, it's not going to look right. So taking your time right here is important. Okay. All right. So now I'll just put the excess of this back so I can use it again, which is why we had the paper. Kind of like we do with our glitters, right? Very similar. Okay. Now this is where we're going to bring our, well actually you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side and then we'll bring the heat tool in. So I'm just using again a paintbrush. And I am using the embossing liquid to do this. So if you ever thought about, you know, if you do embossing for cards and things of that nature, you know, yes, you can use it on obviously other products that are not just you know, the stamps. Put my paper down again. And again, I'm going to come in with that extra brush. Remember, it's a clean brush. And you're going to want to get all of the specks out of the way. Especially, you know, like this is green and we have white. So we don't want to have any of that showing. I don't want it anywhere on my white part of my disco ball. So I think this is going to be a fun little project. I said I was very happy that they still had something. And if not, I did have another idea in mind, which I may do at some point. We don't know, we shall see. But yay, I'm so happy and excited to hear that you're going to try to make it next year to the retreat. It's going to be so much fun. And then you and Miss Carla could chat on carpooling. Kind of like what we were doing this year. Alright, so I'm done with my green. And now we'll bring my heat tool in. Okay. And again, what this is going to do is it is going to start melting those particles, which is why you don't want anywhere that's not where you want it, okay? And you'll start to see a change in front of you. Heck yes, let's do it. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Man, when I saw that, I was like, Okay, so I want to see if you guys can tell the difference. This side just needs to dry. This side has not worked yet. Can you guys see the difference? This one is all nice and glossy. This one is still matte and powdery. So yeah, so you just tell me and we'll plan it for sure. And there's different types of embossing powders. You have mattes, you have glittery ones, you have glazes, which are a little bit more translucent type. There's different ones. Okay. So this is a little bit more on the matte side, which is fine. I'm not trying to like do anything crazy with it. Because I don't think I have any of the only glitter ones I have are gold and silver and blue, ironically. I don't have pink. Okay. Now, for the bow, I actually want to use this one. So this is a glaze. Hey, Miss Carla. Oh no. So this is picked raspberry. This is by Tim Holtz. I don't have his lighter pink one, so we're gonna use this one. But this is a glaze, so this one's gonna look a little on the shiny side. So we're gonna use that one, and we're gonna do the same methodology of we're going to paint, and then we're going to see, and we have a few specks that, you know, kind of staggled over there. Oh well. But yeah, so we're going to try and get a coating on here. And it doesn't have to be super thick. The main thing that we're using this for is to hold the powders in place. Okay, so you don't need it to be, you know, anything thick. Your Bayou Babe was saying earlier that she's thinking of coming to the retreat next year. So I was telling her she needs to talk with you so you guys can carpool. Because that would be awesome. Seeing as you guys are coming from the same direction. Either that or we just meet up in a in whatever that place was again. Pineville? And you're right, with me and Caroline next year. I know, right? I was like, yay! Super excited about that too. So hopefully everything works out and Miss Amy can join us next year. I know Miss Yachty will be there again, and Miss Lori. So again, this is the embossing dabber, and I just use it like if it was paint. And again, you don't need a whole lot, just enough to make it to where your powders are going to stick. Okay. So again, for this one, I'm going to use the only pink that I have from Tim Holtz, which is the pickled raspberry. So it's definitely a very brighter pink. But hey, that's fine, because this is disco and everything was bright. Alright. So, does anybody have anything special they're doing? This week? Or has everybody's kids already started back school? So I start my second teaching job. We'll start up on next Monday. And I've already had to message 2 people that I was in events for that I signed up for earlier times, because back when, you know, we were doing stuff in May, I did not think I was going to teach again. Or heck, even June for that matter. And now I'm teaching at 2 places this year. So, needless to say, oh heck no. I don't do with those things. Wasn't them people from pest control, was it? Because I mean, they already did you dirty with saying that there wasn't an issue when there was an issue. Look, nowadays you can't discard anybody. I'm just saying. You never know. Let me tell you, while I do and love doing this, it is a messy craft to do. I'm saying. I mean, you never know. You never know. People are funny. I'm not saying they did, but I'm not saying that they didn't. Okay. Close this back up. Okay. So same as before, we are going to use our heat tool, and I know I have stragglers. It's just gonna be the way it's gonna be. It's not gonna be perfect, but it'll still look really cute. Okay. So I like go in stages. I start kind of up so that I don't blow everything away. And once it starts to kind of like stick, then I'll come down. Because at the end of the day, it's still a powder, you know? And then once I feel it's not gonna blow away, then I'll come down. That's what I'm saying. To your room, like, that's bold. I love seeing this stuff change in front of my eyes. It's like the coolest process. It's on your desk in a bag from the voodoo shop. No, it should not be on your bed. So see how this one is a little clearer? That's why it's called a glaze, because it literally just kind of glazes over, versus how this one looks. So that's kind of where we're going. And try to get this. It's like some. This water off. Okay, now we're going to do the cherries. Okay, so I'm going to do the cherries in red. What do you guys think? Should I do it in like an opaque red, or I do have, but see, Red Barn is really not red. It's more brown to me than red. So I think I'm gonna stick with this one. And why were you at the voodoo shop? Well, I guess, I mean, you guys are in Louisiana, so I guess you guys do have that down there. Alright, so again, I'm just going to lightly brush as much as possible. And hopefully I can get both cherries done, because these are like the larger part. And like I said, I'm just barely putting some on here, enough to just hold the powders, because that's what you want. Ah, cool. Well, that's a cool souvenir, I guess, then to have. Definitely not on your bed, though. I agree with that part. That's like, why? I don't know. Is your dad a jokester? I would see somebody being a jokester, messing with you and doing that. Being like, oh, look what's here. Let's put this on bed to mess with her. You know? So, but I don't know how your dad is, so I'm not sure. I know my dad could sometimes be a jokester when he wanted to. I probably didn't even look in the bag. Oh, so it was still in the bag. It's not like he, you know, pulled it out and put it on your bed. Like, look. Okay. Yeah, it was probably just moving stuff around. I'd still be mad if people are messing with my stuff. Okay, so let's do the first cherry. I'll get my paper out here in a second. So this is definitely a red, 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 red. I did try to avoid where the whites markings were, so we could still have the highlights. So I did try to do that. But yeah, evidently your pest control people don't know much of what they're doing if they said there wasn't an issue and then a year later you have issues. Like they didn't check or something, you know? And this is your parents' house or your house? I know you said it was your room. And it started in your bathroom, so I'm guessing probably your parents' house. You would have screamed? I think I would have screamed too, because I'd be like, what the hell? That'd be a Chucky style, voodoo doll doing this thing. So the white parts are not perfect, but you know what? It's fine. It is, it's okay. I'm not expecting it to look perfect. I just wanted to look kind of cool and, you know, notice that we altered it. That's the biggest thing. Being able to say that we altered it. And I'm guessing that most of the houses over there are older, right? So that doesn't help with termites for sure. Wrong one. I was like, how am I going to do that? That's because I had the wrong one. Okay. And I'm not going to dump that back in because I'm going to dump it on my other cherry. Alright, so same thing. We're going to start up top for it to start like grabbing the particles, and then we'll slowly come down, and then once it looks like it's got it all, then we'll turn the heat on high for it to... Well, it's not that old. Heck, our house is older. Our house was built the year I was born. So... yeah, so our house is definitely older. I do like that I was able to leave the white parts, because it's going to help with showing the shine to it. And all I did was paint around so that the red would not get on it. That's all. glossy apple. So y'all can see the difference between the painted and the version that we just did, right? And see these little straggle pieces here, they got melted. So now if I want to get rid of them, I'm gonna have to, you know, come in with an X-Acto knife and try to get them off. So, and there's always some powder that gets flung when you start, so make sure you brush and get any that might have got in the way. Luckily, because there was no heat source, these ones over here did not melt, but it's still annoying. Okay, we're gonna do our cherry. So see how cool that looks? So let's do the last cherry. And then again, I'm going to I think I'll do maybe some glossy accent on the hearts just to switch it up. But I still want to paint the edge with the metallic paint so that the edge is not this dull red. Because, you know, everything else has got texture to it, it's bright, and then that's just dull. So I don't want that. So if you guys ever come across, let's say, you know, even like if you go to the Dollar Tree, they have these really cute little canvases. You can alter the canvases and make them your own piece of art using the base. You know, nobody says that, you know, you have to start completely from scratch. You can use a base to create a project. Again, I'm making sure to keep the whites without any of the embossing liquid. Same with the black where the stem attaches, just so that those pieces can stick out and help with it not being like a solid blob, you know. So again, I'm using the idea of what they had, but I'm still making it my own. Okay, and that's why I said there's nothing wrong with using a pre-made base and then creating your craft. I mean, it's no different than a wood piece or something. At least not to me. I think it's the same. Alright, so I'm going to take that all this extra that we had, put that there because we don't waste anything. thought you've pounded enough, do it again. Because for whatever reason, there always ends up being some extra that needs to come off. Always, I've noticed that. This powder is very, very fine. If you've never worked with it before, there are plenty of tutorials on the tube. Like I said, a lot of times you'll find it mostly for your yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad that she's loving it. I get to work with littles again this year, and I was actually telling Gare that I may end up having to teach 3 days because from the sounds of it, I have a lot of littles, and unless I want to work with a very large group, I'm gonna have to break them up. And because I already have my Monday pretty much full, I would have to move to Wednesday, only because Tuesdays I have to keep free for Caroline's therapy appointments. So that's non-negotiable. She has to be able to go see her therapist for as long as they'll take her. We're gonna keep on doing it. So thank you, Miss Amy, for reaching out to me and asking me if I wanted to fill in. I'm super glad that I was able to help out. Ironically, today is the only free day I have all month, or what's left of the month. Can you believe that? I definitely can't. I didn't believe that I was that full. But yep, sure enough, I am. Okay, so there's a little too much here in the white, and I don't want it there, so I'm just gonna pull some of it off. So Sarah's gonna be a great teacher. She is a very sweet girl, so she will do really well. And I'm glad that she's going with the littles and not the middle schoolers, because let me tell you, middle schoolers are ruthless. I don't know what these parents be I know. I mean, I can't blame her. I remember when I didn't have any AC in here. It was to die. So I get it. Hopefully they're able to get that fixed, because no AC. I was talking with my brother. He's in Europe. And he was telling me about, you know, the temperatures and being in a drought and everything else. And I told him, I was like, I bet you wish you were in the US where the homes have AC. And he's like, oh heck yeah. They do. Way too much. Way too much. We were talking about that at the open house the other day between some of us instructors. because one of the ones that teaches youngers was talking with one of the ones who decided to teach the middle schoolers and older kids, and she was like, I don't know how you do middle schoolers. She's like, they're just, I'm like, middle school is the hard one. People think high schoolers are hard. No, they're not. High schoolers are easier to guide. Middle schoolers are hard. You know, they're trying to transition from being a little kid to whatever the next step is. They don't know what it is. They're trying to fit in. They're trying to understand their bodies. All the cultural pressures, society pressures. I will tell, that's what I was telling my daughter. I was so grateful that, you know, in a sense, she wasn't in a typical middle school and high school. So she never had to deal with that. Yay, look at how pretty that looks. So, I like how that came out. That looks pretty darn good. Yeah, they are trying to understand all the changes. Can you blame them? I mean, heck, I'm still trying to understand my body changes. You know, we go through life, and at every stage, you know, we struggle with the changes that our bodies decide to have. So, it's just, you know, harder when you're preteen, teen, you know, all that stuff. Okay, so of course, cannot not have my glossy accent on here, so I'm going to use it on my hearts. And if you've never used glossy accent before, it gives you the look and the feel of like a epoxy or a UV resin without the smell or you know, I'm not gonna say the toxins, because I mean it's still a medium, but you at least don't have the issues of the fumes. You do need to let it set up, so this will sit where it can dry and become nice and hard, and then those hearts will be looking like they're popping out from the background. Love you. Hello there, Miss Victoria. Thank you for popping in. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Okay, so that is the glossy accents. That is going to take its time to dry and cure, but it's going to look really, really cute. And then to finish this off, I am going to take my metallic paint that, okay, is not as bad as I thought it was. I was gonna say, oh my gosh, I got the same problem as my friend Amy, but no, it's okay. It's okay. And I'm just gonna paint the edge, and all this is gonna do is kind of make it glittery, like shiny, and just, you know, give it a little bit more of a you know, handmade feel to it. Especially if I'm gonna be messing up like that, but at least this will change it up from just that boring red to a little bit more of a shinier red, which is about all I really wanted, was for it to look a little nicer than what it already had on there. How you doing, Miss Chandra? I hope you're doing well. You know what? That was very weird. I've had paints glob up at the bottom before, and yeah, you just gotta stir them. And as far as the smell, I've noticed metallic paints tend to have a smell, and it has to do with something to do with the components to make it the metallic color. But yeah, that was it was definitely old, because you could tell it had been sitting, hence why it was globbed up at the bottom. You know, I'll probably end up giving this about 2 coats. But thank you, Miss Amy, for having me. I hope you guys like the idea. It was my 10th year reunion. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That is wonderful. I'm so glad that you got to see some friends. But I hope you guys like the idea, and you're inspired to use embossing powders and you know, again, glossy accents in different ways others than how we normally would. And again, this went from being a clipboard. This went from being a clipboard because I popped that off, to now it's going to be a cute door hanger because I want to put some string there. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys. If you've never painted with embossing powders before, if you've only ever stamped with them, definitely rewatch, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it and learn maybe a different way of using your supplies, because we have supplies, so we gotta find ways to use them, more creative ways, I say. So thank you again. I love you guys. Please go watch Marylou again at the Crafty Friends Unite event group. Is a free group. Links in my description. I love you guys, and I will see you guys during the week. Ciao.